Motivation is a liar. It shows up when it wants, disappears when you need it most, and tricks you into waiting for the perfect moment. The people who achieve greatness aren't motivated. They are disciplined, because discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It simply demands that you show up. Motivation is built on feelings. It's fleeting, fragile, and disappears the moment life gets hard. Discipline is built on principles. It stays when you're tired, when you're unmotivated, when no one is watching. This is why most people quit. They depend on motivation. The disciplined keep going anyway. By the end of this video, you'll learn 7 timeless principles from the Stoics, warriors, and modern psychology that show why discipline beats motivation every single time. Think about how motivation behaves in real life. It spikes when there's novelty, new shoes, a new plan, a new playlist. Your brain loves the surprise. But the moment the newness fades, so does the energy. That's not your fault. That's chemistry. Motivation is a mood swing with good branding. If your progress depends on that mood, your life will rise and fall with it. Some days you'll be a lion. Most days, you'll be a leaf in the wind. Discipline lives in a different place. It doesn't care about moods. It lives in rules you write for yourself and keep. Not once, every day. Over time, those rules stop feeling like rules. They become you. Here's how the shift actually happens. You design policies, not promises. I'll try is a promise to your feelings. A policy is a law you live by. After I wake up, I drink water, make the bed, write 3 lines. No debate, no negotiations. Policies end the daily courtroom drama in your head. You aim for proof, not hype. Each rep, each page, each minute of focus is evidence. Evidence stacks. Evidence convinces the brain. One day you notice the language has changed from "I'm trying" to "I'm the kind of person who..." That's identity hardening around behavior. You make starting smaller than your excuses. You don't need a 2-hour workout. You need entry friction to be 0. Lace shoes, 2 minutes of movement. Once you've started, the mind follows the body. The rule is simple. No 0 days. A small win today beats the perfect plan you'll quit tomorrow. You fix the room, not just the mood. Discipline is environmental. Phone in another room, gym bag by the door, study desk cleared the night before. When the room is tilted toward your goal, your future self doesn't have to fight the same battle each morning. You separate identity from outcome. Discipline is doing the work when the score doesn't move. Runners run on rest days, writers write when it's ugly, lifters lift when strength dips. Outcomes fluctuate, identity doesn't. You keep a private scoreboard, not for the internet, for you. A simple chain on a calendar, a tally in a notebook, nothing fancy. The human brain respects a visible streak. You won't want to break it. You edit the story you live by. The old story says, "I'm motivated" or "I'm nothing." The new story says, "I act." Feelings can catch up. You're not chasing a spark anymore. You're building a furnace. Picture a young man in his 20s. He used to wait for the perfect morning, good sleep, perfect song, sunny sky. Now he runs at 5 a.m. in the cold. Not because he likes it, because it's policy. He used to study only when inspired. Now he sits for 25 minutes, timer on, daily, whether the brain sings or stutters. He used to lift heavy only when he felt strong. Now he shows up, logs the session, respects the process. Weeks pass. Something quiet happens. He's no longer trying to become the disciplined guy. He is the disciplined guy. Motivation is a match. Discipline is a pilot light. Keep it lit and you can ignite anything any day on command. Stop asking for a better feeling. Build a better system. The feeling will follow. Your emotions are weather. They shift with the hour. One day, clear skies. The next, storms. And if you try to build your life on weather, you'll collapse with it. Marcus Aurelius understood this. He wrote, "You must build your life action by action, and be satisfied if each action serves nature's end." Notice, he never said feeling by feeling, because feelings lie. Think of motivation. It tells you, wait until you feel ready. It whispers, you're tired, skip today. It shouts, this is too much for you. Feelings make promises they don't keep. Principles don't. Principles are quiet laws you carve into your character. Do the work. Keep your word. Show respect. Pursue what is right, not what is easy. Principles are the scaffolding that holds you steady when the winds shift. Here's the truth most people avoid. Discipline is not about forcing yourself into misery. It's about transferring power from your moods to your values. It's choosing to act by compass, not by forecast. Let's break this down. Emotions are reactive. Principles are proactive. When you wake up groggy, emotions say, stay in bed. A principle says, I rise when the alarm rings. Who wins determines your day. Emotions fluctuate with context. Principles survive context. In a crowded gym, emotions whisper, everyone's stronger, don't embarrass yourself. A principle says, I train my body for me, not for them. Principles free you from the mood of the moment. Emotions exaggerate. Principles clarify. Your mind screams, this pain means stop. But principle reframes, this pain means growth. Seneca said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Discipline is living by what is real, not by the drama your feelings invent. Emotions demand comfort. Principles demand truth. Jordan Peterson said, you must take responsibility for your own life, period. Comfort asks, what's easiest now? Responsibility asks, what is right, regardless of ease? One enslaves, the other liberates. Think of the young man in his 20s. He used to let feelings dictate everything. If he felt confident, he worked. If he felt lazy, he scrolled. His entire identity was chained to moods he didn't control. Now, he rewrites the rules. He doesn't ask, do I feel like studying? He asks, what is my duty today? He doesn't say, I'll train when I'm motivated. He says, training is what I do, like eating or sleeping. His emotions still scream sometimes, but they no longer run the house. He treats them like noisy guests, acknowledged, but never obeyed. Because the house is built on principles. And here's the paradox. Once you anchor in principles, emotions eventually serve you. Action stabilizes mood. Duty breeds pride. Principles create alignment. By ignoring feelings at the start, you end up feeling better in the end. Motivation is a spark. Principles are the foundation. One burns out. The other holds you upright for a lifetime. Most people live their lives waiting for the spark, waiting for the perfect mood, waiting for that magical day when everything feels right. They say, I'll write when I feel inspired. I'll start when I'm motivated. I'll change when I'm ready. But here's the brutal truth. If you wait for inspiration, you will wait forever. Stephen Pressfield, in The War of Art, calls this enemy resistance. Resistance loves to whisper, not today, you're tired, you're not in the mood. Resistance doesn't scream, it delays. And delay kills dreams more effectively than failure ever will. Think of it this way. Inspiration is not the fuel, it is the reward. It is what shows up after you begin, not before. Writers don't write because they are inspired. They become inspired because they wrote. Athletes don't train because they feel strong. They feel strong because they trained. This is the trap most fall into. They mistake emotions for engines. But emotions are not engines. They are passengers. The real engine is action. Marcus Aurelius wrote, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being. He never said, rise when you feel like it. He said, rise because it is your duty. Discipline flips the script. You act first, and the feeling catches up. You build momentum, and inspiration rewards you. You show up, even empty, and life fills you. Let me give you an example. Picture a young man in his 20s. He dreams of writing a book, but every night he tells himself, "I'll start tomorrow when I feel creative." Weeks pass, then months. His journal stays empty. His idea dies in silence. Now imagine the same man with discipline. He sits at his desk at 6 a.m. sharp. Some mornings the words flow like water. Other mornings every sentence is a battle. But he stays. He writes. Day after day. After a year, he has a manuscript. The difference isn't talent. The difference is he refused to wait for inspiration. And here's the paradox. Once you show up daily, inspiration actually visits you more often because it knows where to find you. The lesson is simple. Stop waiting for the mood. The mood follows the movement. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. Action first, feelings second, always. Pain is the great divider. For the motivated, it is the end of the road. For the disciplined, it is the beginning of strength. David Goggins in Can't Hurt Me writes about running until his feet were shredded, bleeding, taped up, and then running some more. Not because it felt good, but because pain was his classroom. He learned that the body quits long after the mind does. Nassim Taleb in Anti-Fragile teaches that some systems grow stronger through stress and struggle. Muscles tear under weight, then rebuild stronger. Bones densify under impact. The mind itself toughens when exposed to hardship. This is the paradox of discipline. What breaks most people builds the few who stay. The mistake many make is believing pain is a signal to stop. But pain is not always an enemy. Often, it is the currency you pay for transformation. When you embrace it willingly, through training, fasting, cold exposure, relentless work, pain stops being punishment. It becomes proof. Proof that you are not fragile. Proof that you are rewriting your limits. Think of the young man in his 20s, standing at a crossroads. He goes for a run on a freezing morning. Within minutes, his lungs burn, legs ache, his body screams, "Quit." If he listens, he will always carry that quit inside him. But if he stays, if he leans into the discomfort, something changes. The pain does not vanish, but his relationship to it does. It no longer owns him. He owns it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Discipline turns that philosophy into flesh. Every struggle is a stepping stone, every discomfort a tool, every pain a forge. The lesson is simple. The motivated survive until it hurts. The disciplined are reborn because it hurts. Discipline turns pain into power, and when you stop running from it, you discover that your greatest strength was hidden behind your greatest discomfort. Pain is the great divider. For the motivated, it is the end of the road. For the disciplined, it is the beginning of strength. David Goggins in Can't Hurt Me writes about running until his feet were shredded, bleeding, taped up, and then running some more. Not because it felt good, but because pain was his classroom. He learned that the body quits long after the mind does. Nassim Taleb in Anti-Fragile teaches that some systems grow stronger through stress and struggle. Muscles tear under weight, then rebuild stronger. Bones densify under impact. The mind itself toughens when exposed to hardship. This is the paradox of discipline. What breaks most people builds the few who stay. The mistake many make is believing pain is a signal to stop. But pain is not always an enemy. Often, it is the currency you pay for transformation. When you embrace it willingly, through training, fasting, cold exposure, relentless work, pain stops being punishment. It becomes proof. Proof that you are not fragile. Proof that you are rewriting your limits. Think of the young man in his 20s, standing at a crossroads. He goes for a run on a freezing morning. Within minutes, his lungs burn, legs ache, his body screams, "Quit." If he listens, he will always carry that quit inside him. But if he stays, if he leans into the discomfort, something changes. The pain does not vanish, but his relationship to it does. It no longer owns him. He owns it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Discipline turns that philosophy into flesh. Every struggle is a stepping stone, every discomfort a tool, every pain a forge. The lesson is simple. The motivated survive until it hurts. The disciplined are reborn because it hurts. Discipline turns pain into power, and when you stop running from it, you discover that your greatest strength was hidden behind your greatest discomfort. Most people believe freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want, sleeping in, skipping the hard work, indulging in every desire. But that's not freedom. That's slavery. Slavery to laziness, to moods, to impulses. Jocko Willink in Discipline Equals Freedom explains the paradox. The more disciplined your life, the freer you become. When you wake up early by choice, you are free from the regret of wasted mornings. When you control your diet, you are free from the chains of weakness and fatigue. When you train your body and mind daily, you are free from fear of whether you can endure. Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning discovered this in the darkest place imaginable, a concentration camp. Everything was taken from him, his home, his family, his freedom in the physical sense. Yet he realized something powerful. The last freedom no one can steal is the freedom to choose your response. That freedom comes from inner discipline. Discipline is not a prison. Discipline is the key that unlocks every other door. It frees you from chaos because your life has structure. It frees you from regret because your choices build strength instead of excuses. It frees you from weakness because every repetition, every small victory, sharpens resilience. Imagine a man in his 20s. His friends spend nights drinking, sleeping late, drifting from one distraction to another. But he wakes up at 5 a.m., trains, reads, works on his craft. At first, it looks like sacrifice. But look deeper. His body is stronger, his mind is calmer, his future is wider. He has time others don't, energy others waste, clarity others crave. That is not restriction, that is real freedom. Motivation is like a spark. It burns bright, but it burns out fast. That's why gyms are full in January and empty by March. That's why most dreams die in the first few weeks. Motivation gets you started, but it cannot carry you. Discipline is different. Discipline is not fire, it's stone. It doesn't flare up, it endures. Robert Greene in Mastery shows us that greatness is not born from moments of passion, but from years of repetition, deliberate practice, and patience. True masters, artists, athletes, leaders, are not motivated every day. They simply refuse to stop. Grant Cardone, in the 10X Rule, echoes this. People underestimate the time, energy, and consistency required. They think success is a sprint, but discipline is the marathon that outlasts every burst of excitement. Motivation may start the race, but discipline finishes it. Think about it. The man who relies on motivation only works when he feels inspired. He's inconsistent, his progress fragile, his confidence shaky. But the man who builds discipline works whether he feels like it or not. He stacks brick after brick, year after year, until his foundation is unshakable. Discipline compounds. One disciplined day builds into a week, a month, a decade. And one day, you look back and realize the gap between you and everyone else is not luck, not talent, not motivation, but the simple, boring, relentless habit of showing up. The truth: motivation dies in weeks. Discipline survives for decades. And when everything else fades, the excitement, the applause, the trends, discipline remains. That is what outlives everything. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine never waiting for motivation again. Imagine waking up, not asking yourself, do I feel like it, but simply acting, because that is who you are. Imagine being unstoppable, not because of hype or energy, but because your actions no longer depend on feelings. This is what discipline gives you: a freedom deeper than comfort, stronger than moods, unshakable by circumstance. That is the quiet, unbreakable power of discipline. Motivation is a spark, bright for a moment, then gone. Discipline is the fire, steady, enduring, impossible to put out. The spark fades, the fire endures. Choose discipline, and you'll never be stopped again.